The deserts of Earth are the closest thing we can find to an alien environment without leaving our home planet. Many of them are yet to be completely explored, which makes them a great place to find the strange and the unusual. From the ruins of long-lost civilizations to objects that have fallen from space, we've put together this video as a guide to the weird and wonderful discoveries that have been made by people searching these hot and barren landscapes, so you can explore them from the comfort of your own home. Egyptian archaeologists are used to making discoveries that tell us more about their ancient ancestors. But they're a little baffled by this 2,500-year-old temple, which has been found in the middle of the Libyan desert, around 200 miles from the Mediterranean coast. The remnants of the temple can be identified from the distinctive entrance, along with parts of the basement and the walls which once defined the perimeter of the front yard. Coins and sculptures were found inside the ruined walls of the temple, along with the calcified statues of lions, all which appear to be Greco-Roman in origin. Scientists believe that the temple was once used by the residents of ancient Siva, an oasis which still exists some 30 miles away from the site of the temple. 23,000 people live in Siva, almost completely cut off from the rest of the world. Temples have been found in this area before, but they usually conform to Egyptian architectural styles. This Greco-Roman building seems to be out of place by hundreds of miles. The baking heat of a desert is the last place you'd expect to find an enormous icy glacier. But the discovery of one by a team of experts from America's West Virginia University proved that the world hasn't always looked the way it does right now. The team was in Namibia to examine volcanic rocks, but ended up finding more than they bargained for. Their findings are based on the existence of drumlins in the flat areas of the desert. Drumlins are small mounds of earth that are only found in areas once covered by ice. The grooves in the side of the drumlin show that ice once flowed through the area at high speed, carving the grooves as it passed. That suggests that a whole stream of ice once ran across the south of Africa some 300 million years ago. If the findings are accurate, they might confirm a long-held belief among scientists that the south of Africa was once positioned over the South Pole. Modern satellite imagery, of the kind anybody can use on Google Earth, is making it much easier for us to explore the desert without having to visit it ourselves. It's also leading to bizarre discoveries, like this fleet of 4 old, rusting ships found right in the middle of the desert in Kazakhstan. They were photographed by the QuickBird Earth observation satellite, which pinpointed their location as being hundreds of miles away from the closest body of water, which is the Aral Sea. Only by comparing the images with much older pictures taken during the Cold War could an explanation be found. The climate in this region has changed so dramatically in the past few decades that the water here has completely dried out. The whole area used to be a vast sea, into which the 4 ships presumably sank without a trace many years ago. Now the water is long gone, but the shipwrecks are still there, giving the impression that the boats simply sailed across the sand to their final resting place. This next entry will need no introduction to any of the millions of people who play Fortnite all over the world. During 2018, rifts in space and time opened up inside the game, sucking away some of the best-known landmarks from the virtual map. One of those landmarks was the sign above the Der Burger restaurant. Apparently, the game opened up a portal into the real world and deposited it into the middle of the California desert. A Twitter user out of the desert scouting for filming locations came across the burger and uploaded pictures of this strange discovery to the social media site, unaware of the significance of what he'd discovered. It's probably just a unique Fortnite marketing experiment, but imagine how confused you'd be if you found this while out walking in the sands and had no idea what it was supposed to represent. Common sense tells you that people are unlikely to have settled for long in the driest and hottest places on Earth. But whoever worshipped at this ancient sanctuary in the middle of Chile's Atacama Desert must have been a hardy soul who didn't mind the heat. The ruins of a whole sanctuary complex have been found here, and they're more than 3,000 years old. Evidence of plants with hallucinogenic properties along with gold ornaments and stone carvings suggest that ancient rituals were carried out at this location. Gruesomely, human remains also found nearby may mean that those rituals involved human sacrifice. It's known that several tribes of hunter-gatherers roamed around these desert plains around the time the sanctuary was built, although none of them were previously thought to be advanced enough to build anything like this. There are many distinct rooms within the complex, one of which appears to have been a burial pit, and another which contained ornate statues including an intricately detailed vulture head with eyes made from green malachite. It's not just the mysterious structures of the Atacama Desert which are giving scientists pause for thought recently. The tiniest living residents in the area are getting people excited too. The Atacama is the driest of all the world's deserts, meaning that even creatures which can survive out in the Sahara would perish if they tried to do the same here. Despite that, scientists have dug into the sand and soil and found that below the top layer, Atacama is teeming with microorganisms. This finding is especially significant because experts believe that if microorganisms can survive in such extreme conditions here on Earth, they could also be doing the same on Mars. It's thought that the microbes maintain their existence by metabolizing methane, which would also work as a survival strategy on the Red Planet. With its arid conditions and complete lack of vegetation, the Atacama Desert is so similar to the soil of Mars that potential Martian rover robots are sent here for testing before use in space missions. It was one such robot named Zoe which made the discovery. The Nazca Lines out in the deserts of Peru have been attracting attention from conspiracy theorists and scientists for decades, all for the same reason. The drawings, which cover 200 square miles and include complex geometrical shapes, fish, monkeys, and what some people believe to be astronauts, are so large they can only fully be seen from above. The problem with that is when they were drawn 2,500 years ago, nobody had the technology to fly above the Earth and see them. Who did these ancient Peruvian artists believe would be viewing their 900-foot-long works of art? The line drawings resemble glyphs and would have been created by the Nazca people by carving up to 2 feet deep into the sand of the desert, probably using stakes dragged along by rope. Some historians believe that the Nazca walked along the carved lines as part of a ceremony, but that doesn't fully explain why they're so large that no living person could ever see them in full. When we hear the word dinosaur, most of us think of a giant, terrifying creature like the Tyrannosaurus Rex. But giant lizards like that were the exception of the species rather than the rule. Many dinosaurs were small and even a little bit cute, like the recently discovered Gobi soar. The tiny egg-stealing bird-like dinosaur has been identified by fossils found in the Gobi Desert, which gave the creature its name. Belonging to a family of dinosaurs known as oviraptorosaurs, Gobisaurs would have had feathers as well as skin, and therefore would look a lot like modern birds. They even had tiny wings, although they couldn't fly. The most unique feature of the Gobisaur is its thick jaw, which suggests that it ate by crushing its food, and that the food it preferred was hard. That would make the eggs of other dinosaurs the ideal prey. The first skeleton of the species was located in the Nebbiget Formation within the deposits of a 70-million-year-old river. From this, scientists have concluded that it preferred to live on wetland. Other dinosaurs probably considered it to be a pest. Dubai is forever creating new structures, buildings, and facilities to attract visitors and investors from the Western world. Now it's added a huge reservoir in the middle of the desert to its list of tourist attractions. The idea of an artificial oasis in the sand isn't a new one, but we don't know of any others that look like this. The reservoir takes on the form of 2 connected carvings, forming Loveheart. Just in case visitors don't get the message, the word love is spelled out in the trees below the hearts. The new feature, which can be found in the Al Qudra Desert, was the idea of Muhammad Al Maktoum, the heir to the throne of Dubai. While announcing the completion of the project to the world via his Instagram account, he dedicated it to all the people of the world. It looks like a beautiful and romantic place to spend the day, so long as you're willing to travel into the baking hot desert to find it. You have to visit the Chinese desert at precisely the right time of year to see rime forming on the trees and across the sands. But if you do, you'll be rewarded with a scene that looks like it's come from the pages of a children's fairy tale. Rime is a form of frost covering which can surround objects which are already cold when water vapor freezes. When enough of it forms together, it can look like snow. Looking at these pictures, you'd naturally assume that snow had somehow fallen on the Taklamakan Desert in the Xinjiang region of China, but less than half an inch of snow or water falls here every year. This is all pure white rime. The strange combination of sand and rime here is caused by a combination of the fact that the Taklamakan is a cold desert all year round that sits close to the Himalayas, which deposit water vapor into the atmosphere. During the depths of winter, the temperature in the region reaches -70 Fahrenheit and the rime sets in. It's a beautiful location for photographs or to take a brief walk in otherworldly conditions, but you wouldn't want to stand here for too long. Diamond miners draining a salt lake in the Namibian desert accidentally solved a 500-year-old mystery recently when they found the wreck of the legendary Portuguese trading vessel Barren. The ship was well buried beneath the sand, sitting on a site where a human-made lagoon once stood. Barren was a well-known trading ship during its time and was making its way from its home port in Lisbon to India when it disappeared in 1533. Now we know where it spent the next 5 centuries, with all its treasures still on board. Old and precious gold and silver coins have been found inside the ship's treasure chest, mostly well preserved by the salt and the sand. West African ivory and German weaponry were also still within the hold. Experts believe that it sank because it was simply carrying too heavy a cargo. It's believed that the total cash value of the treasure find is more than $13 million, which is good news for Namibia. The Portuguese have waived their claim on the vessel, allowing the country to do with it as it pleases. If you have a phobia of clowns, as many people do, then make sure you never make your way out to the desert of Nevada in the USA and find yourself needing somewhere to stay in the middle of the night. You could end up stuck in the Clown Motel in Tonopah, and you may never sleep again. This bizarre motel sits on the fringes of the desert, miles from anywhere, and is home to thousands of clown dolls. Just to add to the creepy theme, there's an old abandoned graveyard sitting next door to it. There's nothing on either side of the motel for hours apart from the desert, but surely only the bravest souls would prefer to sleep here than spend the night in their vehicle. There are stuffed clowns, porcelain clowns, hanging clowns, and full-size clown figurines sitting on the furniture, staring back at you from around every corner. If you turn your back and run away screaming, you'll end up in the centuries-old Tonopah Cemetery containing the graves of the miners who once worked here years ago. Many people who stay here say that it's haunted. They might have a point. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, and you will be the first to know when a new video comes out. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.